What's going on, guys? Overman back again, and today we're going to talk about what is probably the worst thing that I've ever had the displeasure of experiencing in a video game, the Call of Duty Black Ops 3 campaign. And to be honest, I was actually surprised by how bad it was, but not because I was expecting a great story from Call of Duty, but because the opening sequence wasn't that bad, and it was actually pretty decent. You start off as some soldier in the near future, and you're going into enemy territory on a rescue mission, and as you're looking for the guy, you're scrolling through the camera feed, and you see a bunch of other people being tortured, and your character notices this and he's like, are we just gonna leave them there? And your partner's all like, we have our orders. So you have to leave all those people there and just grab the target and go. And I thought this was cool because it's not like the normal Michael Bay superhero soldier story that COD usually tells. So I was mildly excited for the rest of the game because I'm like, yes, they're gonna explore the grittiness, pain, and sacrifices of war. And then in the next mission, you go through some basic training sequences to explain the setting for the story and the gameplay mechanics. And while I didn't feel like this sequence was anything extraordinary, once again I thought it was decent for a COD campaign. Now in this introductionary sequence, Taylor, that guy from Law & Order, will explain DNI. Basically, they put a chip in your brain and boom, you're a super soldier. And right here when they explain DNI, there's some heavy ass foreshadowing. So much so that it makes it painfully obvious what's gonna happen later on in the story. And at this point, I'm thinking, well, it's not gonna be some groundbreaking story that's gonna blow my mind, but this story has the potential to be decent, and who knows, there might be a twist later on since there was so much foreshadowing here. And you know what? There was a twist. From here on, the missions become boring as fuck, and you don't really know why you're fighting these people. There's really not much context at all. You're basically told, go here and kill everyone in your way. And of course, the story takes that turn that you saw coming a mile away, but then at a certain point, it's like the writers of the story just took a break and did some LSD, salvia, DMT, mushrooms, bath salts, crack, molly, and then washed it down with a mixture of Patron and cough syrup, and then went back to writing the rest of the story. Because the second half of this story is like one crazy ass drug trip that makes no sense whatsoever. The story becomes incoherent as fuck, partially because the game is trying to appear a lot smarter than it actually is. You know, in high school and college, one of the mistakes I'd see a lot of people make when writing a paper or a story was that they try to make themselves sound smart by using fancy terms that they weren't always comfortable using. And doing this had the opposite effect. It just makes you sound like a dumb person trying to be smart. Because it's not about using big words as much as you can, it's about using the right words at the right time, whether that be a simple or a fancy word. And Black Ops 3 does the same thing, but with ideas instead of big words. They throw around these big ideas that they borrowed from great stories like Apocalypse Now, The Matrix, Inception, and Mass Effect, but they don't really explore them or flesh them out properly. And another problem is that they borrowed from too many different stories without focusing on their own story. The result is just a mosh pit of unexplored ideas that don't really fit together. Some of these ideas and themes include control, trust, reality, religion, purpose, and probably a few more that I forgot because this game absolutely fails at making you think about these big ideas. Now, one of the big ideas in this game that they actually did focus on and bring up many times throughout the campaign is the idea of trust. You know, who do you trust? Do you trust Hendrix? Do you trust Taylor? Do you trust Kane? But the problem with this is that all of the characters in this game suck major ass. The two main characters of the story, the guy you play and Hendrix, are fucking terrible. They're two generic dumbass soldier boys that aren't interesting or relatable at all, so you end up not giving a damn about who to trust. And the funny thing is that in the end, trust didn't even matter. So you combine the terrible characters with the nonsensical trippy plotline and then the generic Michael Bay nonsense that's in every Call of Duty, and you get one of the worst campaigns I've ever played. But of course, the story is only half of a COD campaign, the other half is gameplay. So I'll start off with the good. In this year's COD campaign, you're given a bunch of special abilities, each belonging to one of 3 skill trees. As you level up, you can unlock whichever abilities you'd like. And before you set off for a mission, you can select which class or skill tree you'd like to use, and then you can select one of your skills to use in combat, but only one at a time. So for example, you could choose the martial tree, and once you spawn in, you could select the invisibility skill. But then later on, you can select a different ability like super speed, for example. And in addition to that, you can can customize 5 classes however you'd like, similar to how you do it in multiplayer. So when customizing classes, you can think about which skill trees go well with certain weapons. For example, my favorite way to play is by selecting the martial tree and then using the invisibility skill, and I'll pair that up with a shotgun. So I'll use my invisibility to get close and then kill everything with my shotgun, much like an infiltrator would in Mass Effect. And on top of that, Black Ops 3 allows you to team up with your friends so you guys can coordinate and come up with strategies based on the skills that you take. For example, you could have one guy with a shotgun build going in close and another with the assault rifle and crowd control abilities to cover the shotgunner. And then you could have a sniper in the back picking off key targets and watching over his teammates. Sadly though, I never got to try this out because I didn't have anyone to play with, and when I tried matchmaking, someone would always leave, resulting in host migrations and shit, so I just played solo. And while I enjoyed the strategic elements added into the campaign, none of it actually matters. And you'll still get tired of this nonsense because aside from the new abilities, the gameplay in Black Ops 3 is just like every other COD campaign. It's a shooting gallery. After a few missions, the gameplay becomes super monotonous and repetitive. Oh, and something else that annoyed me was that you can't pick up any weapons that your enemies drop. Like, what the fuck? And the thing is that you might need to change weapons because you might have brought along the wrong weapon for that situation. And in addition to that, you might have selected the wrong skill tree. So if all your skills are centered around fighting AI and you're doing a mission that mostly focuses on humans, you're not going to be able to do anything about it. You're just going to have to wait till you get to a station that allows you to change your loadout. And then you'd better choose wisely because you don't know what kind of enemies and environments you'll be in next. And on top of all of that, you can almost never wall run or boost jump. Like, what the fuck? Why not, man? That's one of the major selling points of Black Ops 3. Why can't we consistently do this in the campaign? It's just stupid. And all of that combined with the terrible story made for a horrible experience that I had to suffer through. Games are supposed to be fun, but this campaign just feels like a chore. Towards the end, this game made me want to cut myself and then bang my head into a brick wall. I feel like this campaign had the chance to do something cool and pave the way for better COD campaigns in the future by exploring these big ideas and provoking the player to think about the answers to some of these big questions. And also coming up with creative strategies to overcome the challenges offered by the enemies that you face in the campaign. But no, it's just a nonsensical story paired with monotonous gameplay. But that's it for this one, guys. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to smash that like button. If you're not feeling too shy, drop a comment down below. Let me know what was the worst COD campaign that you've ever played. And if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button and follow me on Twitter. The link will be in the description box below. That's it for me though, guys. Over, man. Out.